Previously, in the Legion of Doom. This committee will hear today the testimony of Mr. Cohen, President Jabba the Trump's longtime personal attorney.
I am here to offer what I know about President Jabba the Trump.
According to the Southern District of New York, you lied to banks. Did your so-called loyalty to the president cause you to defraud banks for your own personal gain?
Sir, there's never been a fraud. I never defrauded any bank.
There is no truth in you whatsoever. That's why I drew this picture with my crayons. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
It's for exactly that reason that I spent the last week searching in boxes, in order to find this information that I did, so that you don't have to take my word for it. I don't want you to. I want you to look at the documents and make your own decision.
How long have you known Miss Darkhold?
I'm responsible for Raven Darkholm joining the Jabba the Trump organization.
Mr. Jabba the Trump is paying Miss Darkhold a lot of money to be able to say he's not racist because he has a blue-skinned employee.
Our own chairman and our Democrat colleagues are trying to bring the president down.
Deep within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time. The Legion of Doom.
We are back for the last part of Mr. Cohen's hearing. I now recognize Mr. Krang.
Mr. Cohen, earlier in the hearing you stated regarding your credibility that you spent your last week searching through boxes to find the information that you did, so we wouldn't have to take your word for it, that you want us to look at the documents and make our own decision. The documents you were referring to were the evidence that you submitted with your testimony. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. So I ask you, where are these boxes that contain documents worthy of evidence that you presented to Congress? And why have they not been turned over to the investigating authorities, looking into some of the many criminal activities that you allegedly cooperated in? Where are these boxes, and what more evidence do they contain? Where is this treasure of evidence?
Wait, did you just ask an intelligent question?
Yes. The boxes that I'm referring to were boxes that were in my law office when the FBI entered and seized documents. Mr. Chairman, I would like to point out to the investigating authorities what the gentleman has just stated, and that actions be taken for those boxes to be seized and reviewed based upon proper procedures.
No objection. Mr. Osborn.
Mr. Cohen, I heard all the testimony, and I'm trying to decide. Are you really sorry for all you did? Or are you just sorry you got caught? Your crimes were all to benefit yourself.
Some of them.
You stated that you committed all those crimes to benefit the president. But all these things, with the real estate, with the banks, your loan, you failed to disclose more than $20 million in debt. This was all for yourself. It wasn't for the benefit of President Jabba the Trump. So that's my question. Did you just get caught, and that's why you're sorry? You worked for this man for 10 years, Mr. Cohen. You come here with these accusations. He's a con man. He's a cheat. This is the very man that you wiretapped illegally. Did you not wiretap the president without his knowledge?
I did record Mr. Jabba the Trump in a conversation, yes.
Is that lawyer-client privilege? Is that something an honest man would do?
I actually never thought that this was going to be happening, and I forgot that recording even existed.
But you did it.
Yes, I did. I had a reason for doing it.
And what was your reason?
Because I knew he wasn't going to pay that money, and Mr. Pecker had already chewed me out on multiple occasions.
It's true.
But this is a man that you trusted, and you secretly recorded him. Let me ask you this, Mr. Cohen. Have you legally or illegally recorded other clients?
I have recordings of people, yes.
Legally or illegally?
I believe they are legal.
Did you tell them they were being recorded?
In New York State, you don't have to do that.
So, you didn't tell them?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Sometimes I use those recordings as notes instead of writing it down. I find it easier.
Mr. Cohen, if the situation was reversed, would you trust a lawyer with a recording of you?
No, I probably would not, no.
How many recordings of clients do you have?
I don't know, probably 100.
100 tapes?
The gentleman's time has expired. Miss Blight.
How many times did Jabba the Trump have asked you to threaten an individual in his behalf?
Quite a few times.
50 times?
Much more.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
Sold!
Let's go to your tapes. You said you have probably 100 tapes?
Voice recordings.
Will you make them available to the committee?
If you'd really like them.
Giganta only like recordings of Snoo.
Mr. Mumm-Ra.
In your testimony, you said Mr. Jabba the Trump directed you to use your own personal funds to pay Miss Clifford to avoid any money being tracked back to him. Do you have any proof of this?
Just the payments, sir. The copies of the checks I provided with my testimony.
So, no email?
Mr. Jabba the Trump doesn't have email.
No voice recordings?
I do not have recordings of it, no.
No text message?
Mr. Jabba the Trump doesn't text message. He is too busy tweeting 24/7.
Mr. Thorn.
The combined total of the crimes for which you were sentenced would bring a maximum of 70 years, yes or no?
Yes.
Yet you are going to prison for 3 years, yes or no?
Yes.
The prosecutors of the Southern District of New York stated that Mr. Cohen falsely understated the amount of debt he was carrying and omitted financial information from his personal financial statements to induce a bank to lend money on incomplete information. You told my colleague here today that you didn't commit bank fraud. Are you or are you not guilty of making false statements to a financial institution, yes or no?
Yes. I pled guilty.
You offered to surrender to this committee 100 tapes with recordings of conversations with clients in the bat of an eye without said clients waiving attorney-client privilege. You stand behind that, yes or no?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You said it too fast.
You offered to this committee recordings of clients in the bat of an eye. You stand behind that offer?
Only if you say please.
You misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony, and you said that you were going to review that and correct your forms and pass it to the committee who will shoot it. Go!
Miss Isley.
Mr. Cohen, what was your position with the GOP up to 8 months ago?
I was the vice chair of the Finance Committee.
You were the vice chair of the finances of the Republican Committee, right?
Correct.
Wait! Does that mean the Republicans have been this whole time attacking and pointing out financial fraud from the guy they chose to take care of their own finances? Ha 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 ha! That's priceless!
I must say I was actually a Democrat when I got the job, until the Republicans made me switch parties because of that job.
Miss Quinn is recognized.
Mr. Cohen, based on what we know now, Mr. Jabba, that Trump used his money, businesses and platform to enrich himself and his brand, and in the process, directed you to commit multiple felonies? And you covered it up! Correct?
That's correct.
Do you think the President of the United States is making decisions based on the best interests of the American people?
No, I don't.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, just because someone has a person of color, a blue person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist, and it is insensitive, the fact that someone would even use a prop, a blue woman, in this chamber, in this committee. It's alone racist in itself.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for her time to be cut off for exposing a ridiculous evil scheme.
It is unbelievable that the President...
Mr. Chairman!
I reclaim my time!
Mr. Chairman!
I reclaim my time!
The rules are clear. No villain should expose another villain's evil scheme.
It is unbelievable that the man in the highest office performs illegal activities, covers up and holds on to business assets to break campaign finance laws.
Mr. Chairman!
What we have here, Mr. Chairman, is criminal conduct. I yield the rest of my time.
Mr. Cohen, I have some closing remarks. But before that, do you have anything you would like to say?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I acknowledge that I've made mistakes, but silence and complicity will no longer be one of them. My loyalty to Mr. Jabba the Trump has cost me everything, and this is why I agreed to appear before you today. Thank you for allowing me to come here and pretend I'm a good guy.
The ranking member has a closing statement.
Mr. Cohen has been dishonest in the past, but there are things today that he said that just doesn't add up either. He said he never defrauded any bank. Obviously, that's not true, because he's going to prison for that very offense. Mr. Chairman, the first announced witness of the 116th Congress is a gentleman who is going to prison for lying to Congress. I don't think that's what we should be focused on. We really should be focused on finding out what the Kardashians are doing tonight. I yield back.
You made a lot of mistakes, Mr. Cohen. I don't know where you go from here.
I do. He's going to prison.
But you can do better now than you did in the past. Now, I gotta say, this hearing was so ridiculous, it didn't even need disparity. Seriously, watch the actual hearing. It's hilarious. We had to make this parody in 3 parts to be able to include all the ridiculous moments from the actual hearing. And with that remark, this meeting is adjourned. I will see you all whenever the next government scandal happens.
Haha, you're in prison and I'm not.